Welcome back to the channel, and in today's video we're taking a look at the remakes of Myst and Riven from Cyan Worlds. And I just want to add, stepping into anything to do with VR and Cyan Worlds always fills me with a feeling of dread. Not because their games are bad, in fact Myst was the best-selling PC game for over a decade in the US back in the 90s. It was one of those click and point adventure puzzle games that visually floored everyone with a PC due to its gorgeous pre-rendered 3D art. And the animations were very carefully made, making Myst one of my most memorable PC experiences graphically. Fast forward into 2017 or maybe 2018, we got a game called Obduction, built with Unreal Engine 4 for PC and PSVR. Now I only experienced the PSVR version, and it was a good game, but one of the most incredibly blurry games in the entire PSVR library. And unfortunately this blurry trend would follow Scion games every release afterwards on PlayStation VR. They also released Riven on Quest in 2024, and interestingly on Quest it looked great in terms of resolution, removing the cursed blur issue, but there was a slight graphical downgrade from the PC version as you would expect, but the developers also leaned heavily into asynchronous space warp, which makes the frame rate overall look pretty stuttery, and I personally find it very unacceptable. Then we fast forward to Firmament, which I think released last year on PSVR 2, and this was a massive disappointment due to the odd button layout for VR, game-breaking bugs that still haven't been addressed, and again poor visuals on PSVR 2, which is why I got the strange feeling of dread jumping into the remakes of Myst and Riven on PS5 and PSVR 2 for this review. And now you might be wondering why the hell I'm bothering telling you all this. It's because I want to show that Cyan Worlds are clearly interested in VR, and after all these years I wouldn't consider them to be a developer without any prior knowledge of virtual reality. So with all that being said, I don't want to keep you waiting for the information I feel most people are here for, and that's regarding the visuals. Firstly, I want to talk about the PS5 version. I think the days of being floored by Myst and Riven's visuals are gone. They look good, but nothing I would consider great. And unfortunately in regards to PSVR 2, the visuals are once again blurry. What you're seeing on the social screen is almost double the resolution of what you see in the headset, making it feel very close to what I used to experience on the original PSVR. And I just want to add, I think it's an absolute shocker to me how Cyan Worlds can never ever get their games looking great for VR, especially when today we have countless games that prove what the PSVR 2 is capable of. And even though these are remakes of Myst and Riven, which are 20-year-old games, visually regardless of how you play these, either in VR or on a flat screen, I'm just not visually that impressed. But visuals aside, what these remakes offer is both games can now be enjoyed with free movement, and there is lots of lovely details. The sea, for example, looks absolutely gorgeous on both games, but once again the VR resolution takes away from these graphics because it looks like someone has smeared a tiny coat of Vaseline over each of your eyes, ruining any chance of being wowed by the graphics. Now I've spent at least 2 or 3 hours with each game, and I'm not reviewing these games in their entirety because there are hundreds of reviews already out there, and these remakes do obviously stay pretty close to the original. And there is some nice touches for those of you who did enjoy the originals. The remakes include all new cutscene sequences which do look cool, but if you go into the menus you can then revert back to the original FMVs which feature real people, and I personally think these look much better than the new ones. And going back to VR, I want to add, the more time you're in the headset, the more the blurriness slowly fades away into the background as you play, because these are great games and they're very immersive, especially if you love puzzle games. But upon firing each of these games up the next day, the first thing that hit me is the blur again, unfortunately. In VR you do get hands versus a solid pointer that can be changed to dynamically appear on PS5. And the VR interactions with things like books and handles do work okay, but weirdly when it comes to turning the pages in books, it does seem better in Myst than on Riven. So at $35 each, I would put Myst above Riven, but I think that's more of my nostalgia talking, as both of these games seem very much considered great puzzle games, and Riven does have some very cool graphics and does feel overall a larger game to explore. If you haven't played either of these games before, I personally find them pretty difficult. I've played lots of click and point puzzle games, especially on the Amiga, but for some reason, when it comes to playing Cyan Worlds games, the puzzles just don't click with my smooth brain as quick as other puzzle games. But while saying that, obviously some puzzles do, and the sense of progression is awesome. So overall, I'd give both of these games, at least in terms of VR, a wait for a sale recommendation. I really do like both of these games, but VR again does seem an afterthought. And unfortunately to this day, there is no great way to experience any of Cyan Worlds' library of games for VR. And I really believe now in 2026 with these remakes, especially on PSVR 2, they would have nailed it. But unfortunately, that isn't the case. If you can ignore the blur, both games on PSVR 2 play very smoothly and the detail is there from the flat screen, but as I said, at $35, I would personally wait for a sale. Well, that's all I've got for you today. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news. If you enjoyed this video and you found it helpful, please leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.